Hello TikTokers, I am the Christian Relationship Counsellor and I set up my channel just a couple of weeks ago and I'm hoping that people will subscribe to it. It's called at the Asman Sound Christian Relationship Counsellor on YouTube. But today I wanted to talk about what we're doing with what we have. So many of us, we have opportunities that we let pass through poor decision making, poor choices. We haven't invested wisely our time or our money. And even though we're all born with the same opportunity, in the sense that when we're born, I call it the 50% rule. Born, you have life, and you have a parent, and those three things can give you the opportunity to do everything that you really need to do. I call it the 50% because there'll be situations where outside, being given life so you can breathe and you can actually survive, you're going to need money, food, a shelter, people around you to support you. And those kind of things can add to that 50% and make your life better. In the absence of, you might have a disability, you might not have any parents, you might be adopted, put in a care home, suffering from poverty, those kind of things, they give you less than the 50%. But the fact that you can actually breathe and you're alive, you still have the opportunity to do something. And we've seen that with the Paralympics. People who don't have no feet, no arms, people who are blind, and they still do something with what they have. And a lot of people, if they don't, they compare themselves to others and they just do not try. So today's video is taken from the scripture about the parables, and it's the parables of talent in Matthew 25:14-30. I'm not reading all of that, but it tells of a master who was leaving his house to travel, and before leaving entrusted his property to his servants. According to the abilities of each man, one servant received 5 talents, the second received 2 talents, and the third received 1 talent. And when they say according to the abilities of each man, I would assume it depends on how the master had seen each one perform while they were under his jurisdiction, while he was there. So, and that's how he rewarded them. The parable of the talents teaches us that we are put on earth to work. This is evident not only in this particular parable, but in several other Bible stories. God rewards those who put considerable effort into bettering their lives and the lives of those in their community. He does not command us to bury our talents and sit back waiting for something to happen. Some people say, oh, God's going to provide, and they're not doing anything for him to provide. It's just a certain set of circumstances that get them through, that makes them feel that God is going to provide for them all the time. But there's a point where God says, I've had enough. I am not going to watch you sit there with what you have and do nothing. So he does not command us to bury our talents and sit back waiting salvation. Rather, we are commanded to use what we have to make the world a better place. This parable explains the role of opportunity, hard work, and accountability in our everyday life. And how many people have you seen waste opportunities? It's like if you are, some people get scholarships or some people get grants, and they're given a certain amount of money, and that money is supposed to pay for their resources, pay for their living expenses. But they say a large amount of money and they think, oh my goodness, I've got all this money, I know I can make it through college or university, but this money will help me buy the things I've always wanted. So they buy themselves a flashy car, they buy themselves some nice clothes, and then they realise that the books that they need for the course are more expensive than that they'd imagined. They realise that the living expenses that they thought they could depend on living with a friend, but the friend can't accommodate them, so that they find that they need to find a place to rent, and they don't have the money. And what happens is they don't get to finish their education, and they end up owing the system money and have people coming after them and taking whatever it was they thought myopically would make them happy. They take it away. And that's just like the worker with the one talent didn't take advantage of what he had. Instead, he thought about the person who got the 5 talents and thought, I've only got 1. What am I supposed to do with this? And it's like people are like that. It's like, when you see somebody with a lot of money and they're buying A, B, C, D, and E, you look at what you have and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this? I can't do nothing with this. It's a waste of time. I'm going to squander it. Instead of saying, okay, I've got £10. That £10, I can put aside £1 and make sure it works for me. Do something that can bring money in, regardless of how small. These days, you don't need a lot of money to invest in a business, whatever it is you're doing. You don't always need money to do it anymore. There are lots of ways where you can use your natural talents to make money. So even if you have 1 talent, you can do something with that to bring money in. And so we were all born with the ability to breathe, to develop and grow physically, spiritually and emotionally. The majority of us who are grateful for that blessing. Some were born with both parents to nurture and love us, and that's a plus to the 50%. They have good health, mental well-being, and are able-bodied, have wealth, and that gives them another plus. So I'm thinking about everybody who, as long as you have life, you have 50%. Others may be disadvantaged by disability, poverty, one parent or no parents, race, resulting in minus 50%. What gives us the plus or the minus is the way we use opportunities that we are given, our choices and our decisions, and the way we invest our time and our money. Even the wealthy can blow their wealth, poor decisions, poor choices, through addictions or gambling and poor investments, drugs, alcohol. So, you can look at a person who's rich. What about all those people who have won the lottery and within a couple of months they're broke? Poor decisions. So not necessarily just because you've got a lot of money means that, oh yeah, you're better off than somebody who doesn't have much. You can get a poor person who could be made rich through due diligence, through hard work, academic acumen, scholarships, good work ethic, investing time and money wisely. So that's why I'm saying, you all have that 50%, and it depends on how you use it, your brain. How grateful you are, you are for that basic level of life. Be grateful that you have life and do what you can with it instead of moaning, oh, I haven't got this, oh, I've had this bad experience and I'm without, always looking at your losses and always looking at what you don't have. They're given opportunities and they waste them. God entrusts us all with the spirit of life. What we choose to do with it is up to us. Some squander it and take people and situations for granted. They're given opportunities and they waste them. Take, for example, someone, I've already said that. So we may not all be equipped equally to carry out what life expects from us. However, we are all expected to do the best with what we are given. And that is the parable of the talents. Like the first and second servant, we should recognize the opportunities we receive and make the most of them. Even seemingly the small blessings can make a big difference when properly handled. I was looking at the Geneva Education website and I came across some of the information from there. But basically, what this is about is when you're given, regardless of how much you're given, 1 talent or 5 talents, you do your best with what you have. You don't compare, because when you compare, you come disgruntled and dissatisfied. And yes, I'm the Christian Relationship Counsellor. Please do find me on YouTube. Please do subscribe to my channel, and I would be extremely grateful, and your comments would be appreciated.